What is up, y'all? We are here for episode 4, and Miss Natural did what I wanted from Chinx. Miss Natural gave TeLovee what she was looking for. But shout out to y'all, as always, for showing love. As always, please thumbs up the video. Drop your comments down below. Subscribe if you're new. Do that. We are on the road to, what are we on? I was about to say 10K. We are on the road to 15K. So contribute to that. Thumbs up the video. Drop your comments. Share the video. Subscribe if you're new. Let's get on into this so I can go to bed, because this is the third recap in the last, 4 hours? So yeah, let's get it done. All right, so we get back to where we left off, which is Dez crashing out, trying to have a moment. Isis is in the pool with the whole dress on and everything, goes under the water to get the wig out, which I was like, why did you have to go under the water to get the wig out when you're literally... You can grab it, but she went under the water. I'm like, I don't know. But Gypsy ends up stating that the racist, which a lot of y'all was like, Grant, you you're showing a lot of grace when I kept calling that girl a colorist last week. But yeah, y'all right. She's racist. Like, everything was true. But basically stating that the racist should have never said what she said because it was fucked up. That was my whole point. I'd have been pissed off too, considering the history that they have, and considering what I be trying not to say her name. Considering what she did throughout the entire first and second episode that she was on, it's clear it wasn't coming from a good place. It wasn't. You can't tell. Y'all cannot convince me otherwise. People gonna say that she was not meaning anything by it. Y'all know who that woman is. She don't be doing shit like that for no reason. Like, she was sitting there flirting with that girl in front of her face, trying to get her to get riled up. Like, she had no good intentions by doing that. But she then states that she don't give a fuck about this show no more because they got her fucked up. She ain't trying to get jumped or whatever. So they do her outro. She leaves the show. She says whoever jumped her is going to need to give her a one-on-one, which I'm assuming she means at the reunion, as you should. Whoever jumps me going to have to run me there too. But after everything calmed down, the new girls, they're recapping everything that had happened. And Drea's down there with him talking about it was overwhelming. And if it was overwhelming for y'all should leave now. So Sky ends up, I don't know who Sky reminds me of. She looks like somebody, I just can't pinpoint who it is. If y'all know who I'm thinking, drop it down below. But she looks like somebody familiar, I just don't know who. But she ends up asking her if there was something behind why her and Dani had fought, talking about Drea, because it hurt her feelings. I'm like, why would it hurt your feelings? But okay. But Drea says it was like underlying stuff. Miss Kanaya ends up asking where do they stand today? And Drea says, I mean, that's my sister. Like, we just fought earlier today, but we hug and kiss. Miss Kanaya said, y'all, that's weird. And it is weird. But back outside, Dez says that she feels like she needs to address Chinx because the last time they saw each other was at the reunion, and that's when they had fought. So Chinx is trying to talk, and Dez is talking over her. But Chinx then says Dez was sitting there talking shit to TeLovee, stating that Chinx was too big to be scratching. Dez was like, why is that a problem? Chinx says, you sitting there talking shit. Like, what do you mean, why is that a problem? But Dez says, you are too big for her. Chinx says, you wasn't even there. Like, you don't even know why I did what I did. Exactly, so shut up, Dez. Always trying to have a moment. She said, you ain't even see what happened. She attempted to spit on me. Duh, that's why Chinx didn't do enough for me. But Chinx said Lemonhead talking about Dez just wanted to have a reason to insert herself. Yes, like I stated. Her doing all that crashing out and stuff that she did last episode was because she's trying to have a moment on the show, because last season she was background. She was furniture. Pretty furniture, but she was furniture. But Joseline, she's sitting there with the racist talking about why would she do that to you? Because she was starting with her. That's why she did it. And she mentioned her child. Like, she didn't mention her child, but she basically is mentioning her child. Calling her a single mom. We know what she's doing. But Melissa talking about how she was trying to get her moment off of her. No, the racist was trying to get her moment off of her. But the racist claims that she's not trying to hate on Gypsy. I'm like, please. But Egypt and TeLovee, they come up and state that Gypsy had threw glass on them. And Egypt says she did that when I was trying to help her. Egypt, you ran up on her and hit her. What do you mean you was trying to help her? You ran up to hit her. Like, what do you mean? But TeLovee, and then especially when all of y'all are coming at her, what do you think she's supposed to do? Like, obviously she knows y'all trying to jump her. She obviously knows y'all trying to hit her. Is she supposed to just stand there and let y'all do it? I'm going to be throwing shit too. Like, I told y'all all the time. Like, I tell y'all all the time. If you jump me, all bets are off. I'm not using my fist. I'm using weapons. So I'd be breaking glass too. But TeLovee then claims that the racist wasn't trying to say anything or didn't say anything wrong. Shut up. But TeLovee claims that Gypsy got pretty much fucked up a whole good night. No, the racist did. But Dez and Neek, they come up. Dez is dick eating the racist. Joseline ends up asking Neek where she was at. Neek was like, I was over there swinging. They all group hug because Joseline likes the fact that they had the racist's back instead of actually not pretty much taking up for her friend. If y'all seen this blinking light, if you don't already know, it's this damn software. I'm trying to figure it out. But whenever I get the time to, I will eventually figure it out. And if I have to get a new software, I'm going to have to get a new software. But I'm doing it right now because it makes it easier for me to get these videos out. This software is the best software I have, and it helps me literally get the videos out quick. So thug through with me. Thug through it. But the next day, Joseline and Ballistic, they're recapping the whole party. I'm not about to get into that shit. Joseline then starts talking about how she don't like Isis, and she don't like how Isis didn't say anything when Joseline had told her, I feel like you don't like me. She said, if it was anybody else, they'd have been like, I love you, Joseline. I love you, Joseline. I'm glad Isis didn't do that, because if I don't feel that way, I don't feel that way. Especially considering the fact that you don't treat me the way that you should be for me to even be stating it. But she then states that Ballistic then asked her, like, when are you going to see the girls dancing? Like, when are you going to actually see them do what they're here to do? And she was like, today we got rehearsals with Ricardo. Ballistic then starts talking about the strip club and whatever, and she heads off to rehearsals. So we get a scene with Sky, Lexi, Miss Kanaya, Neek, Dez, and Erica. They're in the kitchen recapping everything. Lexi's in there telling them that she went to the eye doctor. She has a scratch on her cornea, I think she said, from that hit from Chinx. Chinx socked her. But Neek ends up asking, does anybody have any beef or anybody that they're not feeling? And Erica says Love, which is the other girl from Baltimore. And Lexi asks what happened. And Neek says Gypsy pretty much stated that Love was like, fuck all the OGs. So we then get a scene with Love and Flame upstairs in the bedroom. And Love is pretty much like, they sitting there trying to make it seem like I said fuck the OGs, but it's really fuck all of y'all because we're all competing. Like, hello. But Flame pretty much tells her to not let the bitches fuck with her. Like, we all here for a reason. And Love starts getting emotional, stating that she got other shit going on, so if she crashes out, she gonna really crash out. But Flame is giving her the support that she needs. They start talking about how they be forgetting shit. I guess they have trauma, or at least in Flame's case, she might have had concussions in the past. She was a wrestler. But they head on downstairs. We get a scene with Egypt and TeLovee. TeLovee is pretty much stating that she was genuinely asking Chinx from a viewer's perspective, because she watched their season, what is her and Lexi's beef, and if she has anything else going on for her this season. Why do you care? Like, that was their storyline. They actually had a storyline. Yes, they both got brought on the show. They both had previous history and previous unsolved history. Of course, it's going to spill over onto the show. And if that's her storyline, she left the show after the fact, or she left the show midway. So, of course, she didn't have a fuller storyline, because what's the point? Like, shut up. Worry about your storyline. But Egypt then states that she doesn't know. She says that we only know Chinx from her beef with Lexi. But Egypt then states that she hopes that Chinx and TeLovee can essentially get together and get over it. You can't get it. I'm not getting over nobody spitting at me. But TeLovee then states that she ain't cool with nobody that she fought. You shouldn't be, because you will never win. But back in the kitchen, Love and Flame join the rest of the girls, and Neek's like, there she go, because they was just talking about her. There she goes. She can explain herself. So Love starts doing it and states that essentially it wouldn't have made sense for me to even say it. Neek says, so did you say it? Love says, let me finish. Neek says, okay, but you said that it wouldn't have made sense, so did you say it? Love says, I never said it. Neek says, but you literally just said you did on the bus. But Love then states, what I said was, bitch, if you... Then Neek cuts her off and says, who's a bitch? Me? Love says, I'm talking about the bitch that was asking me the question. She said, I feel like bitches keep putting words in my mouth. Remember, she stated that. That's what she said. But we get back to Egypt and TeLovee, and they're talking about Natural now. And TeLovee pretty much claims that Natural had swung on her sister, and it was a wrap after that. And that's why she jumped in, and security ended up breaking it up or whatever. And she states that Natural had called Joseline to get TeLovee off the tour, which resulted in Joseline kicking Natural off the tour. She forgot to mention in this scene, I don't want to say forgot, she conveniently forgot to mention in this scene that she also got kicked off the tour, but we'll talk about that later. But Egypt then asks, like, where do y'all stand now? TeLovee's like, I'm on whatever Natural's on. But TeLovee also then asks how Egypt and Natural are doing, because as we all know, they used to date. And Egypt was like, we used to date, but it rubs me the wrong way, because essentially when it comes to like promoters and bookings and stuff, Natural apparently is telling the promoters to not book her. Egypt's like, so at this point, I feel like TeLovee has every right to feel the way that she does. And they go downstairs. In terms of fighting your sister, I get that. I mean, I can understand that. But I'm always on Natural's side, so I feel like your sister probably did something to make her do it. But Neek and Love, back downstairs, they still going back and forth with the whole situation, and Love pretty much states it's fuck everybody. So Neek then says, I'm looking at you sideways, basically. And Lexi then says that she wants to know what the truth is, and Neek says, nobody is trying to put words in your mouth. I don't do that. Love then says, I never said that people put words in my mouth. And Neek started laughing just like I did. I started laughing because you literally said that. That's literally what you said. And Neek was like, somebody get me out of here because she lying again. But Neek then says, essentially, next time, just watch what you say. Love says, we don't do the threats over here. Basically, like, you ain't about to be threatening me. Neek says, it's not a threat. I'm just telling you, don't do it again. And Love says, do what again, as they were walking away. But we get a scene where Isis, Chinx, Natural, and Jane Doe, I don't know if that's her real name, but I'm going to call her that. Outside, because the name is too fucking long to be trying to remember. But they're outside on the balcony. Beautiful shot. The view was beautiful. Like, the house is nice. The house is nice. But they're recapping everything, and Isis brings them up to speed on her versus TeLovee on that bus. GBaby joins them, and Natural ends up asking, like, what led to y'all fighting on that bus? And Chinx takes them through it. And Chinx pretty much states, too, that we didn't fight on the bus, but she spat at me on that bus. And Isis says, like, I'm never spitting on anybody. They all agree that it was nasty, and it is. You spit on me, you getting hit. Socked. But Chinx ends up stating it's the fact that she even thought to spit at me that made me want to hit her. I get that. I get that. But Natural then says that this is news to her because she wasn't on the bus, obviously. And she said that I told y'all that bitch don't have no decorum, and she don't. But Isis then asks if Chinx and Lexi are going to essentially squash their beef. And Chinx says Lexi the one that want to keep fighting. Isis says, so y'all don't want it to die. Chinx said, like I said, Lexi's the one that wants to keep fighting. So Isis then stated, like, essentially, we've never really had a problem. It's obviously that I'm closer to Lexi. But Isis then says that I'm going to be talking my shit when y'all fight. I'm like, you don't have to. I'm like, you don't have a reason to even talk shit about Chinx. You can be friends with Lexi and still not have anything to state about Chinx because Chinx ain't do nothing to you. That's that weirdo shit. Like, Isis is losing me. Like, the weird shit that she did last week. And this shit, she had some weird moments here too. That was one of them. But Chinx says, you can stay over there. I don't give a fuck. Like, honestly, I wouldn't give a fuck either. Like, talking shit. Like, what are you telling me this for? She said, I'm 10 toes. Like, I came in here by myself, solo dolo. It ain't nothing to me. I would have felt her on that. But Ocean's, the trio that I can't stand to look at, Ocean's, Drea, and Dani, they come out. And GBaby is essentially waiting on this conversation that she's going to have with Oceans. But Dani comes up to Isis because Isis is hugging the three of them. And Dani says to Isis, do you still want that fade? Dani says that she knows that Joseline has been having friction with Isis. So basically on some lapdog ass shit, she decides that she wants to fight Joseline's battle for her. So Isis was like, you literally just spoke to me the night before and said that you was cool. And Dani was like, I mean, when Joseline was talking, you got all nonchalant, and I care about this shit deeply, and I just want you to do the same. We don't. If Isis don't care, she don't care. Like, get a grip, Dani. Get a grip. Got me over here studying. But Isis then says, you smoked my blunt this morning. This shit is crazy. But Isis is like, you want that fade right now? We can get it right now. So Dani's sitting there talking about something. You owe the princess an apology. She don't. But Dani starts to swinging. And Isis ends up punching them shades off. She puts them shades off of her face. And that sent Dani spiraling into another tornado. Chinx was me laughing. Chinx was laughing the whole time. I was laughing. But Isis then states, like, we squashed it at the night, at the party. But now she want to pop it for Joseline, basically. So Isis then tells Drea, like, you know, me and Joseline never had any... Joseline, I sound like Neek. Joseline never had any issues. And Drea was like, I mean, I think it's about all that shit that happened in London. And Isis is like, they ain't got shit to do with me. I'm glad you stated that, but something else that you butted in on later had nothing to do with you, but we'll get to it. But Dani then says, like, you don't care. Dani says that you don't care talking to Isis. You follow behind Neek. Isis said, ain't nobody following behind shit because me and Neek we don't hang out like that. And she can tell you that herself. But Drea then tries to get them to sit down and talk it out. And Isis says, then sit down and talking to Dani. But Drea then says that her and Isis have gotten closer and have gotten to know each other a little bit more and they've had fun. She basically wants peace. So Oceans then states that Joseline felt disrespected and feels like Isis should have had a conversation with her. And she feels like Isis should apologize. Isis says that she can. I said, apologize for what? Like, Isis, I'm like, what are you talking about? But Oceans then moves to GBaby and claims that she felt uncomfortable because GBaby was snapping at her. When did this happen? Because I don't know. Maybe it happened off camera. But GBaby says she don't share her blunts. I don't share any shit that I bought. Hello? I don't blame her because I feel you. Like, if I'll share some things. But no, especially if I don't know you like that. Why the fuck I'm going to share it with you? But GBaby says I'm not aggressive. This is when Isis started to weird me out. She says, you are, though. Who was talking to you, Isis? And in this moment, she wasn't. So what do you mean? But GBaby says, I don't give a fuck what you talking about. Because literally. But Isis says you should. Why? Why should she care? GBaby says, who the fuck are you to me? I don't. But Isis says, that's why Ocean's going to whoop your ass. I said... Now, you know good and damn well Oceans ain't whooping nobody's ass, but Oceans gets up to swing, and she might have caught her once. GBaby don't look like she can fight for real. But Oceans might have caught her once, but that wasn't a beating ass. And I ain't even giving that a win. Like, that was not a fight. But Isis then sitting there talking about something. I told you she was going to whoop your ass. I told you. She ain't whoop her ass because that was not a fight. But Oceans is sitting there talking about, welcome to the cabaret, welcome to the cabaret. GBaby says, them bitches is weird. Oceans coming for me. It's clearly a TV moment, which it is. And Isis and Dani ends up hugging it out, and Dani kisses Isis. Chinx was me. Chinx be saying my thoughts. Like, everything Chinx be saying is what I be thinking. She said these bitches is weird, and they are. But we didn't get to the final scenes, which is Joseline with TeLovee. Joseline pretty much asked her, like, what are you going to be doing with this natural situation? How y'all going to even dance around each other? And TeLovee claims that Natural attacked her sister unprovoked and said some hurtful shit. So Joseline said, so you and your sisters beat her ass and made her pee. Like, how do you even do some shit like that? That was a lie. Do you think she forgave you? TeLovee claims that she don't give a fuck when it comes to her sister, which, I mean, I get that. But Joseline states, too, that y'all both got fired after it happened because they both gave her an ultimatum. Yet TeLovee made it a point to state that Natural was the one that got fired, but you also got fired, too. But you didn't want to mention that. But Joseline confirmed it. But Joseline then takes TeLovee down to meet Natural. But TeLovee then says, let's talk about it. Talking about Natural. There's no talking after you jump me. You jump me, these hands gonna be talking. But Joseline walks up, hugs Natural. Natural pretty much states that she's appreciative of being there, telling Joseline that she shouldn't have given her an ultimatum. What? Why? Like, if you felt the need to do it, then do it. But Natural then says that they had a 2-day booking. TeLovee was drunk, talking shit. She ended up muffing Natural in the head. And Natural says, I told you that's why bitches be wanting to beat your ass. So Natural apparently said that she had quit, I guess, the booking, and said that she wasn't doing the second booking. So Natural and TeLovee, they start going back and forth. I was trying to write it down, but then I'm like, I don't even know what y'all talking about. So I really don't even want to write it down. But they started going back and forth. TeLovee eventually walks up on Natural, and Natural got to tagging her. But they were on this, like, platform, and there was, like, some water over here, too. And when they're fighting, you could tell, like, Natural's looking like, we need to get up off of this. Like, she was stating that mid-fight. TeLovee trying to swing on her, and Natural's like, we need to get up off of this. And TeLovee might have hit her once, but Natural got to hitting her back again because she felt that at that point. But security breaks it up. TeLovee then states, like, we jumped you, so what's up? So they get in the grass, and they start circling around, and TeLovee is running that mouth, and Natural runs up and knocks her in her shit, knocks and dropped TeLovee on the ground. She down there kicking, security's trying to break it up. Joseline was like, have y'all had enough now? And TeLovee sitting there talking about something, yeah, but what's up? You cannot fight. So Joseline was like, are y'all good? TeLovee says, yeah, I'm good. Natural is standing there in the grass, and she says, I could dance with her, but we'll never be good. Like, we'll never be cool. So TeLovee is sitting there trying to act like they ain't never been cool before. And Natural's like, yeah, I got texted you literally in my phone calling me sis and this and this. And TeLove's talking about something, yeah, because you're my cabaret sis. That means you calling somebody that you're not cool with, sis. My ladies down here, would y'all be calling somebody that you're not cool with, sis? That's like me calling somebody bro. Like, if I'm not, no, no. But they start talking about the sister shit again. TeLovee walks up on Natural and gets cracked. This one was the real one. This one kind of gave me Tasiki Marsh tease. Because the way she cracked her and got her on that ground and started. TeLovee about to get mauled next week. But next week they have their first rehearsal, and Sky gets jumped by what looks to be Lexi, Erica, I believe a couple of the other new girls. Whack. Y'all jumping for what? But if y'all got this far and haven't already, thumbs it up. Do it right now. Y'all know how much that helps the video. We on the road to 15K. Drop y'all's comments down below. Subscribe if you're new. If you watch Love Island, that is why I'm getting this out, so I can have all my energy for that tomorrow. We got the reunion. I'm going to see y'all then. And yeah, I'll see y'all next week. And this should be coming out Sundays now, at least until Love Island games start. Because Young and Reckless, I don't know when the reunion is coming. So they're not going to be next week. So I have time to get this out on Sunday. But I'll see y'all next week. Peace.